Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching my video today. This is my Sharia Moore YouTube channel and my name is Cherie. And today I'm talking about how I got a DUI. So about 10 years ago, I got a DUI and it was the most traumatic thing that happened in my life. I was in my 20s and I was dating, let's just call guy number one. Call him guy number one. Guy number one and I had kind of a falling out, and I kind of liked him, but then I realized it was probably just infatuation and boredom. But anyway, me and him stopped talking, and I actually had ran into an old friend from a couple years prior, and we had started hanging out. He was single at the time, I was single, so we just had a lot of fun together, and I invited him to go to the club with me. He drove his car, I drove my car, and I met coworkers and friends up there that weekend. So we're all having a good time. They had dollar-long islands. We were tossing them back, and we had a really, really good time. I saw guy number one in there, and he was acting like he didn't see me. I know he seen me. And me and guy number two were dancing, just a little bit, but I wasn't giving him too much attention. But I was doing it just enough. I know at the time, I know me. I was doing it just enough so guy number one could kind of question who that was, but not really be too pressed about it. So the club's, starting to wind down, probably about midnight, they made an announcement for specials on double shots of Patron. So I had one double shot of Patron, and then probably about 30 to 45 minutes later, I had another double shot of Patron. And at that point, I'm like, you need to drink some water, Cherie. That was too much because you got to drive home. So I think about 2:15 the club let out. And I'm not feeling drunk, but I'm just like, okay, I just need to take a breather, get some air, drink a bottle of water, and I'm good. So we're all hanging out in the parking lot. I see guy number one off, somewhere by his car, and guy number two. Guy number two was like, hey, you know what? You should give me your keys and let me drive you home. And I'll just have my homeboy drive my car. And I'm like, no, it's good. At this point, I know guy number one was very, very much so watching me. I didn't want guy number one to see me give guy number two my keys because I didn't want him to think it was that serious and that I really knew him. So I was like, no, it's okay. I'll drive myself. I'm good. So we hung out in the parking lot a little while longer, and then I got in my car. I'm sitting in my car, and I'm telling myself, Cherie, you're good. You got this. Let me stop you right there. If you have to tell yourself you're good and you got this when you're behind the wheel and you've had some drinks, at that point, catch a taxi, a Uber, Lyft, have someone come get you because it's not that serious. Now, as I continue on with the story, I want to let you know that it gets really real. I get in my car and I'm trying to all right, you're good, Cherie. A friend of a friend comes up to me and was like, oh, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm good. And she goes, oh, well, you know what? We're going the same way, so I'll just drive behind you. At that point, I'm like, oh, I'm good. So I start my car and I'm driving down the road. Probably about a half a mile later, I'm watching the road. I'm watching her in my rear view. She pulls over to the right. And I'm like, what is she doing? And I guess I should have got over too. But at this point, the police, he speeds up and he comes behind me. He turns his lights on and I'm like, oh crap. So I'm 10 and 2. I put my blinker on and I merge to the right. And I'm like, oh crap. I'm good. Sure, you're good. So he comes up to my window and he's like, license, registration. Do you know why I pulled you over? Then he goes, where are you coming from? And I said, I just had dinner with some friends. And he goes, did you have anything to drink tonight? So then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to need you to step out the car. I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. I need you to touch your nose with your index finger left and right. I'm going to need you to walk this line. And I'm also going to need you to blow into a breathalyzer. I do everything he's telling me to. I'm trying to really concentrate, really slowly making sure I'm doing everything he needed me to do. I walked the line. I had my club heels on, so, stilettos, 3-4 inches. That didn't go so well after a long night of being in my heels and being intoxicated. And then I blow into a breathalyzer, and it blew, of course, over the legal limit. He goes, you have the right to remain silent. And he goes down his spiel, and I'm like, oh crap, this is really happening. So I get behind the police I get in the backseat of the police car. My car's getting towed, and I'm sitting there like, Sheree, this is the stupidest thing you could have ever did. Flat out. There's no excuse. So I'm in the car. He's a really nice officer. He was really nice, but he was doing his job because I was putting people in danger, putting myself in danger. So I get to jail. He lets me use my phone. I call my friends and I'm telling them, like, don't come get me, because the blocks were hot. There was police everywhere. So I'm like, I'll just walk. And they're like, sure, you can't walk. It's like an hour and a half walk. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I didn't want to use my last little $20. Don't question. Okay. So anyway, I finally called a taxi, spent $18 on a taxi to get home. And at this point, I have no car. They took my driver's license, and I'm sitting at home stuck. So let me tell you everything that comes with the DUI. After going to jail, you have jail fees, you have court fees. You have to take about, in my case, I took 36 hours of alcohol classes. I had to sit in a class, I think it was about 2 hours for 1 week until I accomplished my 36 hours. I had to watch videos on people that had that were alcoholics and had addictions. Then I had to take 6 classes of AA. I didn't have to do the full 12 steps, but they required me to do at least 6. And I had to do them on my own time, but I had to complete them before a deadline. Mind you, I told you I had my license revoked, so I couldn't drive my car. So at this point, I had to either ask for a ride or catch a bus. And on top of that, when I did get my license back after 6 months, I got my car that was impounded. I finally got my car back, and 6 months down the road, actually, I got my car back 30 days after the DUI out of the impound, but it sat in my driveway for another 5 months because my license was suspended and I couldn't drive it. So at that point, once I was able to drive my car, I was required to have a breathalyzer for 12 months. The breathalyzer was $83, including the tax, every month, and I had to get it serviced, and I had to pull up to like a drive-through window, and they had to service it. And mind you, I had to blow into this device every time I wanted to start my car. Making this video because I want to talk about the seriousness behind drinking and driving. It was the most traumatic experience of my life. After that DUI 10 years ago, I didn't drink for a whole year. Watching those videos of addicts, what would make you think it's okay to get behind a vehicle and put others' lives at risk and yourself just for a night of fun, and not really thinking about the seriousness or the impacts that it may have. Now, when I look back on it, I would have totally made better decisions. So sorry, my iPad died and I had to charge it, and I went and got ready in the meantime. But as you can see, the DUI aftermath was very, very expensive and such an inconvenience. So I want to share that with everyone and just talk about the seriousness behind a DUI and drinking and driving. If you feel yourself intoxicated, even if you don't feel yourself intoxicated, just call a cab. It's better safe than sorry. And I really encourage everyone to speak to their friends about it as well, because it's not something to play with. It's something that happened many, many years ago, but again, it stays with me to this day. And I will share that story with everyone because it had such a huge impact on my life. And I don't mind talking about it and sharing it with everyone, because if I can help anyone or help save a life, I will definitely do that. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.